everyone. I'm glad you're here today, and I want to share with you my Otterly Adorable Scrapbook Workshop. First, let's talk about the supplies that I used to create this workshop. I started with the paper pack and the dies and stamp sets from the Otterly Adorable Suite. You can see here I'm pulling out the vines, the two little fish, and the little rocks. And then we're also going to use the small group of fish in the stamp set. One of the great things about the Otterly Adorable dies is they also will cut out the different otters on the design paper. So you have two otters that can be cut out, and then you also have a third set of otters that can be cut out from the stamp set. Let's start now by taking a look at the different layouts that are included in this workshop. Here's my aquarium layout, and then I have this layout called Down by the River with the playful otters. And then this is a simpler one, Swim Like a Fish, which could be a lot of different memories. And then the last one is called Gone Fishing. And this one I have some Cricut cuts on, as well as a hidden photo or journaling spot. And here's a quick tip about the fishing pole. Make sure that you only attach it at the handle. This allows you to access that journaling piece. Now let's start by looking at the layout that I have, the aquarium, and the photos that I have. I was inspired by this design with some photos that I have from a trip I took to Thailand and a sea cave tour that we did. I feel like the vines from the landscape match the vines of the paper. So I decided to use these and recreate this layout in a way that will work for my pictures. Now you can see here I've cut my vine paper and I have what I'm going to need for both the left and the right papers. And then I'm going to get ready and cut these circles. And I use the 3 circles to kind of pull the pattern or both sides of the pages together. So to get that half circle, what I did was I took an 11.5-inch circle. You can use a dinner plate or something round to create that circle. And then I measured about 6.5 inches in from the right-hand side and marked that so that I would know how to place that circle, because I wanted to save the paper so I could cut out more elements for my scrapbook page. So holding that down, I'm going to draw this circle here, and then I'm going to use my snips and I'll cut that out for my scrapbook page. Now when you do this, you want to make sure also that your waves or water is going horizontally, because that will just bring the elements of the page together as well as be more accurate to the water. Now I'm going to use the Spot on Nature circle dies, or you can use any circle dies that you have. And the smaller one is about 2 3/4, and the larger one is about 4 inches. And I'm going to cut those out of that extra paper that I have. You can see that off camera here, I have cut out all of the dies that I'm going to use, and I did switch my color for the fish and for the vines to Old Olive and Cajun Craze because I felt like the yellow matched my pictures more than the orange did and brought out some highlights of that. So here I'm putting my pages together and I put this half circle flush to the vine paper, and then I used that 1/4 inch strip of Pretty Peacock to keep the seam between the two papers nice and clean. And then I'm going to repeat that again on my right hand side and place these circles so that they will work with the photo mats and my elements on the right hand side. And again, I add that 1/4 inch of the Pretty Peacock, again just to add a definitive edge or seam line for the paper. Now you can see I've got my pictures and my photo mats and my die cuts, and I like to do what I call a dry fit, and this is where I'm just placing things before I am actually gluing anything down. I'm following my original layout and just looking at how things are going to look as a whole when I put this together. As I do this dry fit, I also figure out the best way to kind of layer my photos. I am going to be using some flip flaps because I have extra photos that I want to include, but are too many for the actual layout page. You can see the yellow of that raft, and that's where I kind of got the idea to add the yellow fish as I was putting it together. I just feel like it helps with the unity of the page and the pictures as I go along here. Now again, I'm just dry fitting my different elements that I've cut so that I have an idea of where these pieces are going to go and how they're going to look. And some of these vines will get trimmed down, you'll see as I go along here. I'm trying to figure out where I'm going to put my title. My title's going to be a little bit different from my original layout, so I also need to account for that. It's going to be a little bit bigger. Now I'm looking at where my fish are and where I've stamped, and so after we kind of do this dry fit, we'll come in and we'll put in the title. And I will also, off camera, I have layered my photos onto my photo mats, and I decided that I wanted that white extra matte or double matte on my photos so that it would just help my pictures to pop a little bit more. And I played around with the title and I put a little bit of yellow in there, double backing as a shadow. And I decided I didn't like that. So I took that off, and you can see I'm straightening or adding my ruler so I can get my title, especially that middle line, nice and straight. And I used the mini alphabet dies to create my title. And what I like about that is you cut the whole entire alphabet at once, and so you have lots of letters to play with, and there's many multiples of your vowels, your S, your T, those that come together. I think it required 2 full cuts of the alphabets for me to do this title, and I just keep in a plastic bag the extra letters that I need, and I can come back and use those on another page or add to the current pages that I'm working on if I want to. So now I'm getting those mats laying down here. What I did decide to do off camera is instead of my mats being 4 by 6, I ended up making them 4 1/4 by 6 1/4. that allowed me to add the white double matte without cropping my pictures more than I had. Now I did that dry fit, and now it's time to come in and add my stamping. I used the Otterly Amazing stamp set and the little grouping of fish. I also used my Peacock ink from Close to My Heart, but if you have Stampin' Up inks, you would use the Pretty and Peacock stamp pad. Now, on the actual blue when I stamp, I used full strength, and then when I was stamping on the base pages, I ended up using second generation. And you can see I'm just using this piece of paper here that I have, both to create second generation, but also to use as a mask so that I'm not getting those fish where I don't want them. Now let's go back and we'll add all of the different elements that I had dry fit earlier. So I put adhesive on everything and decided here that I wanted my first little cluster to kind of highlight and bring together my title. Didn't want it kind of standing or on its own in the middle there. So I've created that, and now I am creating the lower bundle or cluster of vines and kind of dry fitting them, and then I'll trim them down. I also came back in and I put a little bit of foam tape on the rocks, and that is just a great way to kind of give a little bit more dimension to what I'm doing. So you can see that I pull them off and then add them foam tape to those. I love using an adhesive here that is repositionable. It will become permanent over time, but it allows me to have a little more time to kind of play with the different elements that I'm putting together. So after I get this page completed and put together, I bring in the right-hand page, and I'm going to do the same here, using second generation stamping on the white, but first generation stamping when I'm on the blue. You can see that I've added that here, and I'm just kind of looking around and seeing how I want to space these fish out. And I kind of also am creating a triangle and playing with my little clusters to get those to all fit together. And this trip was a bucket list trip that I didn't know that I had in my bucket. It was a trip to Thailand that I earned from Close to My Heart, and the opportunity to go into these sea caves was amazing. And not for the faint of heart. There were a little bit of claustrophobic moments, but I was so glad that I did that. Now, one of the things you might notice is that I don't have a lot of space left on here for my journaling. So I will be coming in here and showing you how I'm going to use my flip-flaps after I get these all put together, as well as where I'm going to put my journaling. You may feel a little bit limited with this Otterly Adorable paper, but as you play with it and look at the different elements of it being water, playful, outdoors, there are so many different themes and memories that you can capture with this paper. And you'll notice even on this page, I don't have any otters. So you don't have to use it in the literal sense. And there's my finished page. Well, until I find the embellishments. So I pulled out the Riverside Irregular Pearls, and I am adding those for a little bit of sparkle and shimmer into my clusters. These come in 3 different colors in the package, and I chose kind of the darker set of colors to kind of pull in that darker blue. Now here are the flip flaps, and these are originally from Close to My Heart, but Stampin' Up! Will be carrying them. And I like to use the ones in this spot where the pictures will be opening up top to bottom. And you can see I've added my photos here, and I'm kind of dry fitting again where those will go and how that will work with my layout here. So now that they are fitted, I'm going to add my layouts to the page protectors. And again, these are originally from Close to My Heart, but they are coming with Stampin' Up. And pull it off this strip of sticky, and then I'm carefully adding those flip flaps so that I can still see the old olive mat around those pictures. And that blank spot there is where I'm going to add my journaling, because I didn't have or leave room for it on my page. So there is the first layout, complete with the Otterly Adorable paper.